Hello everybody and welcome back to GRL Season 5 Round 10 here at Australia, and we are back from our week break in between the two halves of the season. We now begin to settle in to the latter half then of Season 5, and we do get into crunch time for a lot of the drivers as races are running out. Obviously laps will be too, but yeah, races will be running down now as opposed to, feels like it goes up instead of down, but of course it's always counting down to the end of the season, and points mean prizes, of course. Current standing positions at present, Welsh Jack comfortably sitting at the top, 29 points clear ahead of his rival then for the season, B Ford. He's no stranger and no slouch either, very used to running at the top end of the table of things. They're closely followed by Blade with 122 points, so not far off, making that a three-way battle then for the title this year. Hopefully they can keep things interesting all the way to the end. Dylan Baxter, he is P4 currently. Gibson in 5th. FGE Delta started the year strong, and unfortunately has been steadily dropping down the order somewhat. He's currently 6th. Atom then is 7th. Rob Kelly in 8th. Sivitson, who will now be serving the rest of the season ban, unfortunately, for last time out in Belgium. He currently sits 9th, but will no doubt lose out more as the season goes on. Currently then P10 is Mizzy. And then we get into the latter half. Dom 11th, RFC Souza, he is 12th, FGE Jacob, he is 13th, FGE Robin 14th, TechUB 15th, Naka 16th, Partik 17th, FRT Sam 18th, BRT Jobbo 19th, and FIFA Lord bringing it up the rear in 20th, but still plenty of points up for grabs as we go on with the latter stages here of the season. But yes, we are here in beautiful sunny Australia then for round 10 of the Grand Prix. Brilliant circuit is it, 10 corners to the right, 6 to the left, 16 in total if you're counting. 4 DRS zones then, the most at any Grand Prix I'm pretty sure, 3.2 miles or 5.28 kilometres depending on what side of the pond you hail from. And your current provisional pole man is last week's winner, last season winner here in Australia as well, and that is Welsh Jack. He's also, don't forget, leading the championship at this present moment. And so it's all to play for, and he's got a good few tenths there at the top as well, just for good measure. He may even still have some time in hand, so we'll have to see how qualifying unfolds then. A few minutes gone, got 11 to go, and I tell you what then, why don't we ride on board with a hot lap for FIFA Lord as he barrels his way down towards turn 1 of Brabham, and then you get a quick flick left into Jones of 2 before you head on to another long straight. DRS in activation for this one as well, making your way towards the hairpin of turn 3. Heavy braking zone, nice easy opportunity for an overtake, and then into the car park 4 and 5. And number 5 here, flat out of course, before you make your way onto the fastest point on the circuit. Quick flick of the steering wheel, drop it maybe a gear, and then you're flat out all the way up to the chicane of 11-12. The kink on the back here, Clark, used to be a bit more of a turn. It's now been straightened out to help with overtaking. Yellow flag on the circuit, and there's a McLaren up there. I think that's going to be a problem, but through 11-12 then for FIFA Lord. Let's see if he's backed out or not. It looks as though he's still flying through into the next real good overtaking opportunity. Tight right-hander into the final section then. Ascari Stewart, penultimate corner coming up of Prost. I think he's already backed out of this lap, but he may be setting up to go once again through the final corner, up towards the line. It's going to be a banker. It definitely isn't on the pace of where he wants it, but he set a time nonetheless. P10 at the moment, and at the back of the time setters. But I think we can say he probably did feel he got held up a little bit by that McLaren. A little bit naughty into the very fast chicane then in the middle. But FIFA Lord will no doubt try and improve on that time. Amana is wanting to improve, needing to improve. He wants to be up in the top 3, battling it out for this championship, and that is B Ford. Of course, very much known for his race pace over quali pace, but if he's up there in qualifying, you know he's going to have a rocket ship for the race. He's improving by nearly 2/10 there in the first sector alone. That's a good improvement nonetheless. That will put him up into P3, even if he doesn't improve in these latter two. Firing it through the back straight. Now here comes the chicane. Quick flick of the steering wheel left, and before you know it, you're already turning it back to the right. Oh, big slide there on the exit as he struggles to keep the car in a straight line. He's just about held on, so well done to him. He'll keep this lap up, I'm sure. And now into the final sector he goes. It's looking pretty neat and tidy up until that tank slapper. And I wonder, is that an invalidation? Just ran it a little bit wide there on the exit. Yeah, he's going to have to bring it in. He's backed out of that one, but he's looking very quick. He knows now that he has got time in that lap. As Sousa then is now provisional P2, knocking on the door of Welsh Jack in P1. That's a very good, respectable lap time from him. He'll be very pleased with that indeed. And actually the car he just gone past is Welsh Jack. All on an out lap, getting ready and riled up for their second flying runs here at Albert Park. Of course in Melbourne, Australia. Right near the city centre. You can pretty much see the skyline from a few camera angles. And it is built around the Albert Park Lake. So it is a street circuit. It might not feel like one from time to time, as you do have some runoffs, but it's also gravel. But there is, as you can obviously see around it, there is walls as well. So, you know, if you do make a mistake and get it all wrong, it can call curtains on your race, on your qualifying, as it can be quite unforgiving. We've seen that from the real life session we had just yesterday. So if you managed to get up early in the morning for that one, if you really wanted to give it a go, then you could. I myself slept through it, and I wish I hadn't, because it was an absolute banger of a race, unfortunately. And that's one of the cars out. Yes, as I say, that is the Red Bull out of Riley. He's lost it on the exit by the looks of it of the quick chicane. It's not going to cause obviously any problems with the session. But if that was the race, that could be safety car. But then, either way, we'll ride on board here with Welsh Jack and see what he can do as a second flying run. Whether he can improve or whether his banker lap is good enough already. But either way, he is provisional pole. He is the man to beat at the moment. As that's a McLaren in the wall there. Yellow flag. I don't think it's going to deter Welsh Jack. He's still absolutely flying. And look at that. His teammate in front of him for good measure. Going to give him the slipstream and the tow here along this long, twisty back straight. And that will give him a nice boost of speed. And help him with his lap time, of course, as well. So teammate here really doing a job. Pulls out at the last moment, as you would expect him to. And he's already 2/10 up, looking very neat and tidy. Fastest through the middle sector, as I would expect as well. Into now the final section, the twisty-turny bits of this circuit. And this can really make or break your lap in this one section alone. I can tell you that from experience. That's where I struggled the most when I had my racing career. And he's backed out of it. He's coming in. He's not going to do it. He's not going to see it through. Maybe he thinks he can do even better. But I am looking at the clock. There is only 5.5 minutes left of qualifying. So a lot of the guys, as you can see, already in the pits. And they'll get the car set up and ready to go for one final flying run. But Welsh Jack clearly has some time in the bank as well, and can improve if needed to. But like I say, he is provisional pole at the moment. He doesn't need to improve, but I've got a funny feeling a couple of the others may have some time still in hand as well. So I'm sure he will get back out there, find the time that he needs to try and snatch this pole position away. And as he wants to keep his winning streak on, of course, as well. You know, he won it last couple of weeks ago in Belgium. I'm trying to think, did he win the week before as well? It's been a few weeks now, has it? I can get the stats up. Let's have a little look. See what's Welsh Jack's winning streak here? Yeah, he won Belgium. He won Hungary. He won Britain. You have to go all the way back to the French Grand Prix, of which he finished second place on that occasion. Apart from that, he is on an absolute flyer of a winning streak. So Max Verstappen 2.0 in the making, albeit in a different car. Nonetheless, he's still on an absolute run at the moment, is Welsh Jack. But currently on a lap here, riding on board Aston Martin of Robin. Into the final sector he goes, looking to hopefully find some lap time, get further up the grid, and we get a better start of things. I think he's backed out there, though. He's probably coming in to the pits, and he'll then be all prepared, getting ready for his final flying run as well. Do we have anybody on a lap, on an out lap? Yes, we do. FIFA Law 2005, the last man at the moment with a time on the board. The people behind him yet to set a lap. Tecubi out of the pits though, that's a good sign. I believe Rob Kelly actually has a qualifying ban, if I'm not mistaken, so he will not set a lap time. Yeah, there we go, he's actually retired from the session, so yeah, that'll be him serving that qualifying ban. So yeah, Tecubi though, he looks as though he will be on an out lap. Yes, there he is, he's on one right now. He's actually on a full lap, I think, by the looks of it. He's not got out lap next to his name, so yeah, here he goes. He says he's going purple in the first sector. Has he actually genuinely got the pace? We know he can put in a good performance, so this could be quite some lap if he does do it. He's only going to get the one chance at it, I think, at this point, as it is far too late to come into the pits now, put on a new set and go again. He's run it wide. No, that's not what he needed. That could be invalidation for Tecubi in the Haas. It looks as though he's backed out at this point. Maybe not. He's still flying around, chucking it into all the corners. No, I think he is backed out then at this point. Yes, into the pits he comes. I think that is his qualifying session done and dusted. There's only a couple minutes left to go now. Yeah, he's not going to be able to get it in and out in time. So Tecubi will be starting from the back of the grid. It'd be a miracle if he does get it in and out, but I highly doubt that that is going to be the case. Nonetheless, FIFA Lord on his final flying run. I believe he's going to be one of the first to finish their laps here, or finish qualifying. He'll get to the line before the timer counts down, but I don't think he'll be doing another run after that. Gibson also will finish his lap and still have a chance to go again, but like I say, I don't feel as though there is a real chance of going around for another lap. But FIFA Lord here, he could go around again if he wanted to. 1:25.1, that's not an improvement on his lap time. Must have been a mistake somewhere in there. However, Gibson is up 3/10 on his personal best, and that will move him up a few positions as well. Definitely get him inside the top 10. He has got a little bit of traffic to navigate here in the final sector. Is the Ferrari going to get nicely out of the way? Not at the second by the looks of it. Yes, he is. That was good. Yeah, it was actually, he just about managed to do it, I believe. So yeah, good. Well done, Conte. You just about got away with that one, I would believe. And actually, you will get a bit of a slipstream down the start-finish straight. So it may have even been a bit tactical, but he did lose a little bit of time in that final sector, has Gibson. But he's made it into the top 10. P9 is he for the moment. As we now do get into the nitty-gritty. 40 seconds left in this session. Everyone about to begin their final flying run. Through the final couple of corners goes B Ford. Phoenix looking good up in P4 at the moment for Alpine. Dom also up there, P5 for the Alfa Romeo, apologies. So he's also on a pretty good run. He did very well last time in Belgium. I believe it was incidences that cost him a good finishing position, if my memory serves me well. But he's looking pretty good and pretty handy around here at Melbourne as well. So no, he could be in for a good result here then. Checkered flag is out, first across the line. It is Tecubi. Well, I think he may have never even left the pits again, so he's in the pits. And so the first man to finish qualifying then is going to be Phoenix, who we're riding on board with. Has he got an improvement up his sleeve? Yeah, no he doesn't. It's about the same lap time. ever so slightly slower, but he'll hold on to P4 for the time being. Const next across the line, 1:16.6. That's good enough for P3. Nardo coming across the line, he's in P11 at the moment. Who's going to be the next car to finish a lap? It looks to be one of the Williams, if not both of them. I think one of them actually coming into the pits there. Then instead, Blade will be across the line. Welsh Jack, 1:16.1. What a flyer of a lap. Can anybody match that? Blade a 1:16.5. He goes P2. Dom into P3. Good lap from him. Sousa now coming up to cross the line. He's up a couple of attempts. How close is he going to get? Oh, it's a 1:16.4. Not good enough, but good enough for P2. Never mind, B Ford out of nowhere jumps up from about P10 to P2, and that is a good lap from him. He puts him on the front row, and it puts him in contention to fight for the lead, especially down into turn number 1. And we wait for FIFA Lord. He's coming into the pit, so his qualifying is over. That's P10 for him. So there we have it, qualifying done and dusted. We are back then, and we are going to get underway very shortly this latter half of the season. Round 10 coming up then, the Australian Grand Prix. But just before that, qualifying results, and Welsh Jack getting pole position by a couple of attempts over his rival B Ford. Brilliant lap time there from Welsh Jack to secure pole as well. B Ford will have to settle for P2, but he's still on the front row. Good shout into the first couple of turns, and of course on the first lap. Sousa then rounds out the top 3 on the second row. He'll have Blade keeping him company. Row number 3 is Dom and Robin. Kont will take row number 4 alongside Phoenix. Riley, good start for him. He'll take P9, and FIFA Lord rounding out the top 10 there. Gibson will have to settle for 11th. Alongside him will be Nardo. Atom 13th. Alongside him will be Jobbo. And then we get into the non-qualifiers, whether they be serving a ban or just didn't set a lap time, such as TechUB, Sam, TechUB, and rounding out the grid is Rob Kelly in the Mercedes. So he's got his work cut out, as well as all of those guys down towards the back end of the field, as we then wait to get going for the race itself. Thank you, Rob. You got your work cut out for you, of course, but if anyone's going to do it, it is Rob Kelly. He's got the skill, he's got the talent, he's got the pace, and he's got a good Mercedes engine underneath him. Let's see what he can do in this race from the very back. But either way, looking at the strategy, it is probably likely to be a 1 stop here. As a 2 stop, you do lose around about 8 seconds doing the extra stop. However, safety cars, of course, can come into play as they normally do, as well as the VSC. Some people may get the opportunity to take that extra stop, of course, the fresher rubber, fresher tyres, and not lose out so much if we are under those sort of conditions. However, we'll have to see what this race brings us. Ready up will be 9 o'clock GMT, so in a minute's time we should get going, and then we'll get under green flag conditions to see what Australia holds in store. But for Welsh Jack, he's going to be looking to get a good getaway, 271 metres from the pole position spot, of which he occupies, down to turn number 1, and he will have B Ford no doubt champing at the bit to try and make a move, potentially down into turn 1, or the more likely spot down at turn number 3. You pick up the slipstream, maybe use a little bit of your energy system if you can, I say that. But yeah, it's more if you had the DRS, but we do have to wait a couple of laps, of course, to get that. But you could see a couple of moves into the first few corners here. But here we are. The lights are on. There is 4, there is 5. They are out, and away they go. Good start there by the looks of it for Welsh Jack as he gets away from the line. He's going to have B Ford right up alongside him though for company, and we've got some good starts further down the grid as well. Sousa getting away cleanly. Everyone seems to be getting away rather cleanly. Rob Kelly already making up a position into the first corner as Welsh Jack, yeah, comfortably secures that number 1 spot for the time being, as we got a few positions being fought over further back. That's Phoenix in the Alpine trying to now defend from Nardo behind, looking to get that job done. Alrighty at the moment, Rob Kelly making up another position, currently P15, only a few corners gone as we now begin to settle into the Grand Prix itself. Half a lap, here's a potential another move then. I'm trying to think who that was. It was, actually it was B4. B4's been overtaken. Sousa's up into P2 then, so he's going to try and make a charge potentially towards the man in front at the moment, Welsh Jack. Couple of attempts, of course, separating the cars all at the moment as they get settled into this Grand Prix, and we're about to get to the end of lap number 1, and this is definitely not a slam dunk for Welsh Jack. He has got Sousa, the Portuguese man, keeping him very, very close for company. Fastest lap 1:25.5. We'll see that drop next time by, as we are now under full racing speed. Will we maybe see a lunge into turn number 3, or will they start playing the long strategy game? God, Dom getting awfully close to the back of that Mercedes of B Ford. Rob Kelly's now found his way up a few more positions. He's in P13 then from the very back of the grid as they make their way onto the back straight for the second time. Sousa awfully close, right tucked up underneath the Williams then of Welsh Jack. He's pulled out of the slipstream, he's got the inside line, he's probably going to have the move done even before they get towards the chicane. Yes, he does. Sousa takes the lead then away from Welsh Jack on lap number 2. Brilliant move there. He definitely looks as though he's got those medium tyres, putting them to good use and getting the advantage that he wanted then, and so now he can dictate the pace of this Grand Prix as we begin to, well, as we get to the end of lap number 2, about to begin lap number 3. Rob Kelly there on the soft tyre, putting those to good use then at the beginning of this Grand Prix. So some interesting strategy plays going on as Sousa sets the fastest lap, a 1:20.1, as he now looks to try and break that DRS tow if he can, as that will now become the strategic game that everyone needs to play. Can you stick with your rival in front, or can you break the tow from behind, so that you then don't have to worry about being under threat, under attack from the car behind, as they will get that DRS slot in the rear wing opened up, and that will give them an extra boost of speed. As the two Aston Martins there, they're riding on board pretty close to one another at this point of the Grand Prix. And what you don't want to have, though, is them having an incident coming together and the team scoring no points at all. Of course, mostly this is down to drivers' standings instead of teams, but I know a couple of them do like to take pride in where they finish, and that is Riley Wheeler. I think he's down and out. He's spun it. He may have lost the front wing. I can't quite see at the moment, but virtual safety car. Yes, front wing is a missing, and you can only guess that he's lost it on the exit then of the chicane. He did it there in qualifying as well, so we know he is susceptible to that. He's got no front wing, but he has got a VSC to help him out a little bit here then at the start. But what the VSC does, it will neutralise the field. They'll all have to keep to a average speed and not to go over the delta, of course. Hey, careful there, Dom. You don't want to cause an incident, especially under a safety car. Done well, and DRS now in full activation, so all 4 zones then, if you are within a second of the car in front of you, you can open that rear flap, well, you can open the wing in the rear flap, the rear flap in the wing, never mind, safety car, thank God, something to take my mind off those words I was trying to get out, couldn't quite manage it. But we have got our first retiree then, Phoenix for Alpine, and he has DNF, but we have our very first safety car at the beginning of lap number 4 then. So now what will happen is they'll all line up behind it when the leader of Sousa catches up to the back. We'll work out if it's a Mercedes or an Aston Martin this week. I can honestly not remember which one it is for which Grand Prix, but either way they'll line up behind it and they'll follow to the safety car's speed. But this does neutralise the field entirely, so everyone will catch back up, including Riley down there in 16th, nearly 30 seconds adrift. But thanks to the safety car, that gap will diminish and be negated. Interestingly though, we have got a few pitters. Blade, the first man in, I did see. He'll want to get off those hard compound tyres. I'd imagine a couple of the guys here, they're going to go onto the medium, and then maybe they can go medium again to the end of the Grand Prix. So here's the strategy then. This is where the two-stop could work. Of course, a few of them there opting to stay out. Atom being one of them. He's now climbed his way up into 6th position. See who's the biggest winner and loser then at this present moment of the Grand Prix. Sousa climbing 2 places. He's your man out in front, currently leading this Grand Prix. Welsh Jack and B4 dropping a position each, of course, in the process of that. Dom up 1, Robin up 1, Atom up 7. So he's the big winner at the moment, but he also didn't pit when the likes of his rivals around him did. And then we got Blade, Nardo, Conts, Gibson rounds out the top 10. Rob Kelly, he's managed to climb 6 positions from the very back. He's currently sitting P11. What I would normally say is he's just outside of the points, but points go all the way down to 15th position here for GRL. So they do slightly differ than normal Formula 1. It's more of a MotoGP style of point system that we use here, which I personally feel is a bit fairer and also does enable that the guys battling for the lower positions, they can still pick up points even if they are outside of the top 10. So I think maybe the real life counterpart should think about opening that up as a possibility, but for the moment they'll stick to the top 10 and fastest lap, and we'll go for the top 15. But if you do want the fastest lap point, you do have to finish in the top 10. So that is the one stipulation that they have, I guess, kept from the real life counterpart. But either way, everyone seems to be now filing in and following that safety car, and I'm pretty sure most, if not all, actually their TechUB also pitting in this lap, but he'll catch right back up rather quickly as well. Had it in my notes, chances of a safety car 67% based on real life statistics, and well, the stats don't lie, but of course it is a street circuit and it is an e-sport instead of real life, so risks are normally taken a little bit further here, and therefore incidents such as the one that occurred are more likely to occur, and therefore also more likely to pick up a safety car. But either way, the real life counterpart does help in the statistics of things, as it does give you a pretty good idea of how it all shakes out. But nonetheless, it's lap 6, we're under safety car, it's been out for a couple of laps now, and I wonder, will it come in at the end of this lap? TechUB should be all nicely caught up by the time we get to the end of Sector 2, and yeah, there we go, race control calling it. Don't hit each other, boys, getting awfully close back there. Safety car in, so that will enable the McLaren of Sousa. He will now dictate the pace, and he can decide when he wants to go and begin the race once again, back under green conditions in that sense. But once that safety car is in the pit, it is then up to Sousa when he wants to fly. He could go now if he really wanted to. By the time he gets to the safety car line, as long as the safety car is in the pits, it doesn't matter. It's of course if he overtook it before that line occurred or before it went into the pits, but he hasn't gone just yet. Safety car is in now, so it's whenever he wants to go. Through the penultimate corner of Prost into the final, and I believe he has gone. We are back underway, green conditions once again, as we there see Dom pulled out of the slipstream. He's actually got the move on to B Ford into turn 1, or maybe not quite. B Ford fought back, and Dom almost lost it into the barrier. Unfortunately, B Ford has just left the session there, Let's hope he can get back in, as that's late on the brakes from the Alpha. My word, almost went into the back of that Ferrari. Did very well to keep it out of the wall, out of the back of the car in front. As we do look to have another incident further back. Who's involved in that one? It looks like Rob Kelly, FIFA Lord, both into the wall by the seams of things. I think they have both managed to get away with it, and B Ford has also managed to join back in. He hasn't lost anything actually in all of that, so he'll be very happy. The only thing he has lost is the DRS, so he may be a bit frustrated with that, but he has got pace, and we know he can do wonders in that car. But he's going to lose one more position before that, as Blade then gets past that stricken Mercedes until B Ford is back in the wheel. He may even lose one more. Robin lining him up, as I think he has now regained control. So B Ford is back, but he's now got a bit of a mountain to climb. The guys out front have managed to put a gap in between them, and actually none of them are going to have DRS, so it will come down to who's got the outright pace of this circuit and their car. But further back here, we have got a bit of a train forming up. The Aston Martins both going almost side by side. Robin just about edging his teammate to the edge of the circuit. He clearly doesn't want to be overtaken by him. They're going to fight this out. They're going to go for it once again down towards the turn before the back straight. Still one behind the other. Robin the lead, Aston Martin. DRS now should be back in activation, or maybe not. Maybe it's the next lap. I do apologise, I'm getting a bit confused here. But either way, with or without the DRS, you can still make overtakes around this circuit. The slipstream effect is quite powerful round here. As Nardo looking to make a move then right up onto the gearbox of the sister car. Nardo, oh, he's going to potentially go for a move up the inside. He hasn't quite got the speed, and there's a Haas round in the background. That's Tekubi now facing the wrong way. He's into the barrier as this battle rages on. Nardo desperately trying to find a way past his teammate, and this has actually backed him up into the Ferrari's clutches behind, so he may even lose a position in all of this. Not quite though. The Ferrari, I think, sensibly backs out for the time being. DRS though is now definitely in activation, and Nardo trying to line up his teammate once again. He's going to go to the inside. Is he going to be late on the brakes? They're side by side through turn number 3. They'll probably continue this through 4 and 5. Yes, they will. Side by side, they're still going, and I think Nardo's just about managed to edge his teammate out, and he will take P5 then away from him. And now Robin, he's got a Ferrari all alongside him as well. He may even lose another position. Yes, I think he has done it actually. The Ferrari taking no prisoners, taking full advantage of the situation, moves up into P6, and they will go charging forward, potentially trying to get past B Ford in that Mercedes. Oh look, it's going from bad to worse for Robin. The Red Bull now around his outside. This is going to be latest on the brakes, side by side through this part of the circuit. Brilliant move from the Red Bull. Around the outside he went, and FRT Sam securing that P7. And I think this is going from bad to worse for Robin. Looks as though he's becoming under threat from Atom now in that Alpine. He'll have the DRS to help him defend, but look at Atom go, picking up speed. Will he see a lunge? Not quite there into turn 1. Atom, the wily old fox, he knows that the move is into turn 3. Here he goes, pulls out of the slipstream, goes to the inside line to have it. Will he keep it? Oh no, there's a bit of contact. Atom's just about kept it out of the wall, facing the correct way, luckily. So he'll regain composure and try and do that once again. In all of that, Nardo actually found his way up into P4, and I can see Blade now. Actually, he's a move for the lead. Round the outside goes Blade on Souza, in towards the chicane of 11 and 12, and now we have a new leader. It's Blade for Haas. Souza relegated to second place at the moment. They are both very much followed quite closely by Welsh Jack, so he is not out of this one bit. But I wonder, are those tyres on that McLaren beginning to give up the ghost? I say that as Blade is also on that medium tyre, but he did pit, so this is that fresher compound putting in the work as he's found his way all the way up into P number 1 as he leads this Grand Prix. Sousa desperately trying to hang on to the DRS though of that Haas, as he knows better than anyone as well. If you lose that, you are a sitting duck from anybody behind. This could be Welsh Jack's chance. He's on the same age of tyre as Sousa, but he has got the hard compound on, so they will be able to go a little bit further, a little bit deeper into the Grand Prix, and you would imagine the switchover point is probably coming up. If not, it's already occurred, and that hard compound tyre will be performing better than the medium. Down the back straight they fly. DRS inactivation for Welsh Jack. Less than a few attempts between them. DRS inactivation once again. This is where we could see the move. Will he pull out of the slipstream? Nope, sits in behind for the time being. Got right up to the gearbox though of that McLaren. I wonder if he is also playing a strategic game here, Welsh Jack. As that, I think, was Riley once again getting it all wrong on the exit of the chicane. He's managed to keep it out the wall once again, but it looks as though he's having a real struggle of it. As you can see there, all of the guys that went on to that fresher rubber, fresher tyre under the safety car, they've actually all begun to make their way towards the top end of the field. Jobbo there is the only man that hasn't quite done that. Currently sitting P9 though, it's no slouch that position. FIFA Lord also having a little bit of a struggle. He is in P13 and oh no, not again. It's more connection issues for B Ford. He's down in 7th and his day is now going from bad to worse. Welsh Jack though, still in the session, still fighting it out for P2. Do we see the move? Not this time by either. But these two fighting it out and Welsh Jack not getting past Sousa does mean the cars behind are gaining in on them. And here's the move then. Down in towards turn number 13. Sousa's going to get the cut back though on him. And he still regains P number 2. What a brilliant defensive move from Sousa. And now Welsh Jack's coming under threat from Nardo in the Aston Martin through Prost. The penultimate corner, round the final corner. It's going to be a drag down towards turn 1 as the Ferrari there gets it all wrong on exit into the wall. And Nardo's actually managed to take P3 away from Welsh Jack right under his nose. I don't think he was expecting that one from the Aston Martin. Good move from Nardo and a brilliant defending from Sousa in that McLaren as well. This is brilliant racing action that we are witnessing here, and Welsh Jack still has it all to do. The man who was on pole position currently now P4, as that was FRT Sam getting it all wrong, causing a second safety car. And that's our second retiree then of the session. Lap number 13, second safety car. Gaps will be closed up again. And now the people that never got to pit the first time around, they will now have that chance and option to do so. You can definitely go, especially on a hard tyre, to the end of the Grand Prix here. But this is going to be a big decision for Welsh Jack as to what tyre he goes on to. He's currently on the hard, like B Ford behind. Haven't pitted as of yet, so they've got to switch the compound to get it to the checkered flag and not have to pit once again. But will that medium last long enough to do so? That's going to be the big question. It's a big ask to get those mediums at least 15 laps to the end of this Grand Prix, as we are about to start lap number 14. Blade though, your current man out in front. See how these pit stops go. Sousa holds on to second place. Nardo holds on to third, and obviously Welsh Jack keeps fourth. Did anyone opt to stay out onto the circuit? I don't think anybody has done at the moment. Oh, that was tight there. Gibson just about getting out in front of Atom, albeit with a little bit of argy-bargy game mechanics. Either way, I think he'll be happy that he's moved up into P6. So then, safety car out once again. Everyone making a pit stop here. I think the whole grid has gone into the pits. It does allow the likes of TechQB and Rob Kelly to make their way back into this fight. So race is not over for either of them, but they were quite a few seconds down at that point. But either way, the gaps will all be closed back up. All of those differences negated, as they will be running nose to tail, line astern under safety car. Sousa, interestingly, he's opted for that soft tyre. I think he knows that you're not going to get the medium to the end, or if you do, you're going to be struggling somewhat. So he's opted for the soft. He wants to retake the lead of this Grand Prix, and we may even see another pit stop before the race is over. Not quite at the halfway mark. We will be there once we get to the start-finish line, as we will get into the back end of this Grand Prix. Laps will continue counting down. Crunch time will be setting in, and we will see where all of these drivers finish the race by the time, of course, the flag falls. Your current standings at the moment, though, as you can see on your screen, Blade is your leader at the moment, followed by Sousa, Nardo, Welshjack. Then in P4, starting on pole, of course, he's lost a few positions there. B Ford as well, down in P5. Gibson 6th, Atom doing very well up into P7. Dom 8th, Kont is 9th. Robin found his way into P10. FIFA Lord is P11. Riley is 12th. TechQB up into 13th. Rob Kelly up into P14. And Jobbo there, down at the back of the field currently, who's just come into the pits once again. I think he wanted to get as fresh a tyre as he could to make sure that he can get it to the end of this Grand Prix. But he does what's the word? I can't even think of the word that I'm looking for. He does give up the track position, and will be at the back of the field, but he'll have the freshest tyre of anybody out there. As we do wait for the call from race control that the safety car will be coming in. I think we may have one more lap. Sector 2 timing line coming up in just a short moment, so we'll find out very soon whether it's coming in or not this lap. I've got a feeling there's going to be one more though, as yeah, we're waiting for Jobbo there at the back. Yeah, he is full throttle. It looked as though he may have just been backing it off slightly to make sure they did get another lap under safety car. But no, he is flying round as he should do. So that's A-OK by me. He'll catch up to the back of the train before the lap is over, but I think it's too late to call the safety car in now. I'd be very, very surprised if it did. But no, I think it's probably missed the entry. Yes, it has. So yeah, it'll go around once again. So another lap then under safety car. That will start us off on lap 16. So we'll go green for lap 17 with 13 to go at that point. And we'll see who is going to come out on top then. Hopefully we'll be able to go green until the very end. We can get some real wheel-to-wheel racing action. Albert Park here in Melbourne, one of those tracks that does lend itself to be able to go side by side through corners. Turn 3, 4 and 5 here to name one of them in this car park section. You definitely can go side by side. Equally through the final section as well, the penultimate sort of corner, sort of a Ascari, Prost, even through the final corner. You can do it side by side. It is very tricky, but it is possible nonetheless. And it does provide us with some brilliant action as well. Your overtaking points are, of course, the chicane of 11-12. The corner after that of, I believe it's 13 actually, because you do have the kink in the middle. So it may even be turn number 14 at that point. And turn number 3 as well. Here we are. Race control then. Safety car in this lap. So Blade will have the honour to dictate the pace of the field here. as he will effectively become the safety car, because once the real one comes in, he can then decide when he wants to go racing once again, when he wants to get this back under green conditions so that we can see these glorious machines at their full revs, firing it round this brilliant circuit. Now, when is the Haas driver going to put his foot down on the loud pedal? Foot to the floor, throttle, firing on all cylinders. I think he may have already gone. Thought he might have caught them napping, but actually I think Sousa's probably got the better restart here. Being on that softer compounded tyre, he's going to fire him up a lot quicker than Blade and the guys behind him as well. Sousa may be looking to take the lead down towards turn number 3. He's all over the gearbox of the Haas, pulls out of the slipstream already. He's going to try and have to do it the long way. He gets late on the brakes as he can with that extra grip, takes the lead away then of Blade, and he hadn't even had it for a couple of corners from the restart, and Sousa back into P1, and Blade now becoming increasingly under threat from Nardo behind already. DRS not in activation just yet, we'll have to wait a lap or two, but the slipstream effect is strong around here, so you can and will see overtakes even at this restart. Tecubi makes a position up. He makes up another one. That's P10 then for the Haas driver, as I think maybe Robin might even have a bit of an issue a bit further back there. But riding up here, up front with the big leagues, as you want to call it that, they're all obviously in the big league. It's the Division 1 of GRL. The guys at the sharp end of it are here, of course. Top 5 separated only by a second or two. But Sousa, crucially, he's managed to pull away enough out of that DRS zone. Sets the fastest lap for good measure as well. But Blade, I think he's now fired those tyres up. He's back under that second mark between him and Sousa. And he'll want to try and make a charge. And maybe regain the lead once again. As Atom there in the back gets a move done on Gibson. There's a little bit of contact actually between the two of them. Const takes big advantage, takes full advantage, should I say, of the situation that presented itself. Atom gets the position, Const gets the position, and just like that, Gibson is down in P8. And that's not what he needed. He may even lose another one by the time he gets to the chicane. Yeah, Dom up the inside in towards turn number 11, and that's another position lost for Gibson. He's down in P9, and Tecubi is closing the gap to them as well rather quickly. Constant there making a move up the inside of Atom into turn number 14 into this final sector. Atom thought about the up and under, didn't quite have the speed to do it, and he'll have to settle then back for P7 just after he'd made the move for P6. Finds himself in P7 once again, but crucially the front 5 have pulled away from this second train, and that does mean that they are less under threat from the guys behind. They can think more about the battle in front of them, particularly Beeford. No pressure from behind from him. He can solely focus his eyes forward, as the gap between each of them is less than a second. So DRS will be an activation for all of those guys. Const, though, going to have his eyes probably firmly in his rear view mirrors, as Atom will have DRS on this back straight. You can see there the flap opening up. Gives them an extra boost of speed down the straights that it is enabled in the zones, should I say, that they are here. Domno looking incredibly feisty and racy behind Atom. He's pretty much pushing him along. Will we see a lunge into turn number 14? Atom thought about it. Dom trying to make it work as well. There's no room though. Atom parks it exactly where he needs to defend that position. And good defensive racecraft then from the Alpine man, as Dom desperately tries to find his way past him. DRS now for the start-finish straight. Will we see a move into turn 1? Dom pulls out the slipstream. Is he long enough? Is he alongside enough? Yes, he is. And oh, he's just... Oh, Atom's had to take to the grass. No, he's in the wall as well for good measure. I think that was a bit cheeky from Dom. Very much ran Atom out of road. And Atom suffered because of it. Dom will pick up the position, but I think the stewards may have a bit of a grim look at that. But they are both still in this Grand Prix at the moment. But Atom now down in P12. And I know he will be having words, I'm sure, in the chat after the race. But nonetheless, it still moves forward. Lap 20 of 29 then. Crunch time is occurring, and that's Nardo round into the wall. Welsh Jack also retired. My word, and just like that, your championship leader is out of the race. Nardo in the wall, but he's just about managed to, well, I say managed, he's luckily not lost the car entirely. He will now drop to the back of the field, though, as we now have a third safety car. Everyone will be in. Everyone will be putting on the soft compound tyre for a sprint now to the end of this Grand Prix. My word, that I did not see happening. I didn't see that one coming at all. Welsh Jack is out. B Ford is up into P3. I'll see where it is after the pit stops, of course. But it wouldn't surprise... It makes sense that he's there. The two guys that were ahead of him are no longer ahead of him. So, interestingly, Riley has stayed out and is now P number 2. He splits Sousa and Blade, but he is on very, very old medium tyres compared to those around him. 7 laps. Doesn't sound a lot, but in tyre wear terms, especially with different compounds such as this, that is a very big deficit to try and make up. And I'm very curious as to why he didn't pit, but he's got a track position, so it may have been his thought process on this. But the problem is, overtaking is definitely not impossible around here. So we'll have to see how that pans out for him. Lap 21 then. I believe it's 8 to go, including this. And I wonder how long this will stay out for. It's definitely going to be this lap. I think it may come in towards the end of the next one, as we should have every car back up in the train. But Sousa is your leader. Riley has found himself up in P2. Blade P3. B Ford P4. Conts 5. Dom 6th. Gibson 7th. Tekeby 8th. FIFA Lord is P9. And Robin rounds out the top 10. And then we have Rob Kelly, Jobbo, Atom, who will be utterly gutted that he was not able to stay where he was, because he was in a good position before that incident with Dom. He's now 13, and Nardo 14, and Riley there left the session. I think he's disconnected, so hopefully he'll manage to get back in time. He'll still hold on to that position. We are under safety car, so the cars cannot overtake. So if he can get back in time, he will be P2, and he will be able to fight and defend should he want to. But here we are, start of lap 22. Not long to go here for Division 1 of GRL, and it is going to be a spectacular sprint to the end of this Grand Prix, and we get to see who will come out on top, who has got the fastest car, who has got the most skill, technicality to their driving, who has got the pace to see it through. As Sousa, Blade and B Ford especially picking up points over Welsh Jack, providing of course that they finish this Grand Prix as well. But even if they do finish, say, second or third, that is still a good chunk of points over their rival. Of course, they will want the win to maximise the point deficit, and thankfully Riley is able to jump back in before we get going once again. I would imagine the safety car is in, and yes, it is. Race control firmly agree with me. Safety car in, we'll get ready to go green again. Sousa dictating the pace, second time he has done that this evening. And he'll look to try and get the jump. He'll try and use Riley there, I'm sure, as a bit of a buffer, a bit of a barrier to his rivals behind of Blade, Beeford. But don't count out the likes of Conce, Dom, Gibson even. Everyone's on the same tyre, same length. They have all driven on it. They're all the same age. I think Sousa's already gone. He's tried to make a dash early. He's tried to catch some people napping. I don't think it's gone that well as planned. Riley there getting squirrely out of Prost, the penultimate corner. He's definitely going to lose positions once he gets past the start-finish line. Of course, that's worked an absolute treat for Sousa because Blade wouldn't have been able to overtake before the start-finish line, or technically the safety car line, as he gets squirrely again out of the exit of Jones turn 2, and that does promote then Beeford up into P3. Conce trying to hold it around the outside of Beeford, not able to do so. He holds him off and will hold on to P3 for the time being, but Conce looking to be a little bit weak at this restart here. Dom now trying to get a move on the Ferrari as he then picks up a 3-second time penalty for good measure, just to make it his hot life a little bit harder. But penalties, there are a few up and down the grid that, as you can see, that could dictate how some of these positions play out. But either way, Sousa has managed to pull a 2.5 second lead, nearly 3 seconds now, as these guys behind here are fighting for position. Beeford tries to go around the outside. Can he hold it? Yes, he can. And maybe Conce is also going to try and follow him through on Blade. Round the outside of the third to last corner goes that Ferrari. The Haas then just having to accept it. Got a little bit of a tap there. I think that may have been a bit of a push to pass by Dom, but nonetheless, Blade now finds himself P5, Dom in P4, and Beeford and Conce 2 and 3 respectively, as Beeford now will desperately try to charge after Sousa in P1. He's got to hope that those soft tyres will drop off rather rapidly, as Beeford is on the medium compound, so he can go the distance a little bit easier than the guys around him. But at the beginning here, he may suffer a little bit of a pace deficit. So it'll be interesting to see, especially in the last couple of laps. But lap 24 then, still 5 to go. Oh, it is 6, I do apologise. 6 including this one, 5 at the end of this one. Sousa, Beeford, Conce, Dom, Blade and the sister Haas of Tecubi, 5th and 6th. Gibson 7th, Riley holding on 8th for the minute, FIFA Lord 9th, Robin 10th. He is very closely followed by Rob Kelly in that Mercedes, battling it out for the final top 10 position. As I don't think we have the DRS enabled. It should be enabled by the time we go over the start-finish line and begin the closing stages then of this Grand Prix. That Alfa Romeo of Dom looking super racy on that soft compound tyre. He's fired them up very quickly. DRS there in activation, as I think we've got Robin there round towards the back of the grid. May have been Nardo, it actually was Nardo, never mind, into the pits, retiring then from the Grand Prix. But nonetheless, that's not going to deter Dom from making a move for P3. Thought about it, the Ferrari absolutely cutting that move off, Conce not having any of it. But that Alfa Romeo very much filling the wing mirrors of that Ferrari. He seems to be everywhere he looks, but he is very much putting on a display of I am here, I want to get past, as that's Riley into the wall. That's another retirement then for the session. Will we see a VSC or a safety car? I don't think we're going to. I think we may have gotten away with that one, but Riley is out. There goes the Ferrari, he's round. Dom's through. I didn't quite catch if there was contact just because I was looking at the leaderboards of who was where, but Dom is through. The Ferrari round then at the end of that chicane, and he now finds himself down in P11 and Dom up onto the podium spots. That does promote obviously all the other drivers as well. Blade 4th, Tecubi 5th, the two Hasses side by side, and Dom's round in the final corner. That's Blade back into the podium spots. P3 then, P3 and 4 for the Haas team. This is good points haul for that outfit this evening, should they finish here. A few laps to go still though, and Beeford is closing the gap to Sousa. Conce has retired, Dom has retired from the session. Robin in the pits. That may even be another retirement then. Or he might even continue, because points will still, of course, be up for grabs. Even if he did finish in 10th, their points are all the way down to 15th. But nonetheless, the battles rage on. They've got the two Hasses, followed closely by Gibson, all within that DRS. Rob Kelly has found his way at the front of this train at the back. He's in 6th position, trying to defend from Jobbo behind. He's got FIFA Lord, Atom, and, well, I say Robin. Robin's not quite keeping him there for company. He is some 45 seconds off the back, but this battle here for P6 in the closing stages. Only a few laps to go. 4 train long car. Well, it was a 4 car long train, should I say. However, the podium spot is also still up for grabs. Blade has lost the position to Tecubi, the sister car. He obviously will not be giving it up. Tecubi doesn't have the DRS. Blade now will, but Gibson behind also in this train. So he will be wanting to see if he can make his way up onto that podium spot. And equally, B Ford still closing the gap to Sousa in the closing stages here. It's still coming down lap after lap. Is it coming down fast enough though for him to maybe have a chance of snatching the win away from the Portuguese man in the final? Well, it will probably be the final lap that it occurs. 2 seconds now, the gap between the two of them. We have got an absolute race on here in the closing stages. Jobbo here making the move on Rob Kelly in that Merc. The McLaren getting the better of him, but of course that was very much helped by the DRS that is in activation, and we'll see it in effect here once again, I'm sure. But Rob Kelly being passed by FIFA Lord as he didn't have the DRS to help him along. It's a single activation zone for 2 sections of DRS. If you don't have it for the first one and you get past, you haven't got it to help you get back past. So unfortunately, Rob Kelly, a bit of a sitting duck at that point. Lost 2 positions now in P8. Blade, though, hot on the heels of his teammate, and Gibson there keeping him very much honest for company. The job is not over then for Haas at the moment. The Williams trying to spoil the fun of this team. They're trying to maximise everything they've got here. Crucially though, Blade, I know he's going to want to try and get as high up as he can, because he's crucial points being made over Welsh Jack, his rival. Of course, he's losing a bit out to B Ford, but equally it will close the fight at the top end of the championship, especially if B Ford can get closer and potentially make a move for the lead. He's got a lap to do it. 1.4 seconds is the gap. FIFA Lord now has found his way up into P6. Rob Kelly in P7, and Jobbo has now lost 2 positions this time around. Atom still lurking at the back, waiting to pick up the pieces in P9. But you know that wily old fox, he knows how to race, and he knows how to pick up the pieces of other misfortunes. Final lap has begun. Sousa is the lead man. B Ford almost within a second then of him. Can Sousa hang on for one final lap then of this Australian Grand Prix? Tecubi trying to do the same then from Blade, sorry, the sister car. He's got 1 lap to do it. Gibson, of course, going to want to do this as well. FIFA Lord, he's also got a job to do. He needs to try and defend from the likes of Rob Kelly and Jobbo behind. Is he able to hold on, take 6th position? It'd be a brilliant position if he can. He's got that medium tyre. He went down the route same as B Ford, and I don't think there's going to be enough time for B Ford to get a move done. The gap just dipped under a second, but he's not going to have that over the finish line, so it's all going to be down to absolute raw pace to the end of the Grand Prix. Blade picks up P3 once again ahead of Tecubi. Tecubi having to defend from Gibson behind. He's going to make him go the long way around. He's defended it rather nicely there for the time being, and coming across round the final corner of this final lap is going to be the man from Portugal for McLaren. It's Sousa up to the finish line, takes P1 away from B Ford, who finishes a brilliant P2. Blade rounds out the podium. Tekubi, Gibson, 4th and 5th. Rob Kelly's going to snatch 6th position in the end of all of that. And we'll work out where the likes of FIFA Lord, Jobbo and Atom finished as well. And of course, oh, well, there you are, Tekubi, driver of the day. However, I think my driver of the day is going to have to be the man standing on that top step. There he is. And that is Souza. Brilliant result for him. He'll be very happy with that indeed. B Ford having to settle for 2nd place, but crucially picking up points over his rival of Welsh Jack, who's not finished, of course. Got taken out earlier, potentially, by another driver. Not intentionally, I don't think, but just got caught up in an incident, and it did spell curtains for his weekend. Souza also picking up fastest lap, 1:17.9, absolutely rapid. But there's your top 3 steps of the podium. Souza, B Ford and Blade. And then Tekubi finishing 4th ahead of Gibson. Very closely fought battle to the end there. Rob Kelly from the very back of the grid. He will take P6. Brilliant result for him in the end. FIFA Lord brilliantly finishes in 7th. Jobbo will take 8th. And Atom will have to settle for 9th in the end of all of that. And Robin rounds out your final finisher in P10. You do then get the likes of Dom Conce, Riley, Nardo, Welsh Jack, Sam and Phoenix. But they are all unfortunately non-finishers this time around, but well done to everyone who took part, and well done to everyone, of course, who finished the Grand Prix as well. And we'll bring you the coverage next week for round 11, and I will double check where we are heading then for the next round of GRL. Season calendar, here we are. Australia this week. Next week we head to the brilliant Italian countryside of Monza, Italy, and we all know that that can throw up an absolute firework display between drivers. Very closely contested circuit, lap times very closely very close to each other, as it is a very fast circuit indeed. But that is all for this evening. Thank you very much for tuning in. I've been your host, Ashley, on my own, of course, this evening, as well as we will have the Professor Dara back for next week for round 11 of the Italian Grand Prix. Be here same time, that is 8:30 GMT. And don't miss it, because it will be a good one as well. Thank you very much, and enjoy next week. I hope you enjoyed this week. I will say goodbye and good night.